Alaikum. So this is the third part in the Holomen. In the first part, we watched a video of the poem, and then we summarized the ideas of the Holomen. Then we talked in part number 2 the rest of the summary, and we examined the epigraphs. Okay, now we will come to the Holomen themes. The first theme, as always, with T.S. Eliot, emptiness and cultural decay. In the opening line of the Holomen, the speaker makes a strange and unsettling announcement. He's part of a group of hollow men. إذا المتحدث في القصيدة من البداية بيعلن لنا إنه جزء من مجموعة الرجال الخاوين. However, or moreover, he lives in a landscape which is itself hollow. So the men are hollow and their land is hollow also. As the poem proceeds, however, it becomes clear that the speaker's hollowness is not strictly literal. Instead, it serves as an extended metaphor for the decay of European society and culture. إذا الفراغ اللي هو والخواء اللي هو شاعر فيه في داخله وشاعر فيه في الأرض هو مش مجرد شيء يعني حرفي موجود حرفي، ولكنه كان انعكاس للحضارة للمجتمع الأوروبي وتفككه وضياعه. The speaker describes himself and his fellow hollow men as inhuman, dangerous, and incapable of taking real action. For instance, in the first part of the poem, the speaker characterizes the hollow men's voices as dried. أصواتهم جافة. Instead of sounding like normal human voices full of emotion and information, they are quite quiet and meaningless. أصواتهم كانت هادية وبلا معنى، ما بتفهمش من صوتهم معنى. As wind in dry grass. Okay. In other words, their voices no longer sound like human voices, and their voices no longer carry information or emotion like human voices are supposed to do. Instead, their voices have become as random and senseless as the wind itself. زي ما نرد السلام على الناس بدون ما يكون لا حاسين بمحبة للناس ولا حاسين بأي يعني ترحيب في الناس، مجرد رد وخلاص، مجرد ردود إنك ترد وإنك تتكلم. Instead, their voices have become as random and senseless as the wind itself. The hollow men are more than simply empty in the sense of being sad or despairing. Rather, they have lost their humanity. So they are not just sad or desperate deep inside, but actually they feel that they lost their humanity. They are not a human being anymore. The second theme in this poem is faith and faithlessness. Faith and faithlessness. On its surface, The Hollow Men is not a religious poem. Yes, it's not a religious poem, though many actually critics attacked T.S. Eliot because they thought that he is inviting people to convert or to embrace religions and to go back to Christianity because, many people became atheists. Throughout, however, the speaker makes a series of subtle religious references and allusions. So this is subtle, the B is silent, subtle religious references and allusions. These references suggest that the hollow men have lost their connection to God. The speaker thus suggests that they might be restored, become fully human again if they could regain their faith. إذا هو بيحكي لنا الهولو من غير إنهم فقدوا آدميتهم وغير إنه حتى لا صوتهم لا في مشاعر ولا في أحاسيس، غير إنهم they are unable to communicate with each other, they are unable to act, they are unable to make any changes in life around them. They also lost the connection to God. فقدوا الاتصال بالرب. زي ما حكينا إنه they are spiritually and psychologically bankrupt. مفلسين سواء روحيا أو جسديا. But there is an opportunity for them to regain their faith. But unfortunately, this opportunity is not available. Okay, he says if they could regain their faith, okay, become fully at the same time, yes, okay, so the speaker does suggest that they might be restored. Okay, they might be restored, but he says after that no. At the same time, he also suggests that such renewed faith is impossible for the hollow men. لأنه محتاجين the rose. تذكروا the rose, which stands for Mary, and Mary is not there anymore. Okay, so there is a way, there would be, let's say, use the hypothetical, there would be a way to regain their faith, but this way doesn't exist anymore, so they couldn't actually restore their faith. The speaker of the hollow men regularly suggests that he and his companions have lost contact with God. For instance, in lines 41 and 43, you can go back to them, the speaker describes the hollow men praying to stone images. عمالهم بيصلوا للحجارة. This alludes to passages in the Bible where the Israelites stop worshipping God and instead start following false gods. Okay, هذا طبعا في لما بيحكي عن الهولومين بيصلوا للحجارة. Okay, هذا في allusion يعني إشارة للإسرائيلية في الإسرائيليات في قصص الإسرائيليين اللي توقفوا عن عبادة الله. بتتذكروا إحنا عنا وعبدوا العجل، بس هو هنا بيتكلم عن false gods. Okay, آلهة مزيفة. طبعا إذا بتتذكروا قصة العجل. When that happens in the Bible, God punishes the Israelites for failing to worship him properly. The allusion suggests that the hollow men are like the backsliding Israelites. يعني الهولو men زيهم زي المرتدين الإسرائيليين. They too have strayed from their religious commitments and fallen into idolatry. إذا هم كمان تاهوا أو يعني تشردوا بعيدا عن التزاماتهم الدينية وأصبحوا وثنيين and fallen into idolatry. Okay. Similarly, the speaker describes the hollow men as blind, sightless in line 61. Their only hope for regaining their sight, طبعا sightless لأنه they don't have faith. They are blind and sightless because they don't have faith. They are spiritually empty inside. So their only hope for regaining their sight is a multifoliate rose. It's the rose. And the rose is a traditional symbol of the Virgin Mary in Catholicism. The speaker thus suggests that the hollow men need the Virgin Mary's help to regain their sight. Their sight here, their faith. But Mary doesn't exist, so they will not be saved and get back their sight. Okay? These religious references reach their peak in the 5th section of the poem. In this section, the poem quotes directly from the book of Matthew, "Thine is the kingdom." This is an allusion to a longer passage with Christ says, "Thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen." Okay. Here, Christ means that God is ruler of the universe and always will be. However, the speaker doesn't quote this passage from the Bible. Instead, it appears indented in italics. This indicates that it is in a different voice. Okay. In other words, it's not the hollow men speaking about, but someone else who enters the poem briefly. إذا لاحظوا إنه إحنا في بداية القصيدة كليات القصيدة اللي بيحكيها واحد من السبيكرز اللي كان representative عن الهولو men اللي من البداية أعلن لنا إنه هو جزء من جماعة الهولو men. ولكن الجملة هاي thine is the kingdom. Okay. هاي thine is the kingdom is not said by them because the hollow men are lost. They lost their connection with God. So the sound or the voice here is for someone else who enters the poem briefly, not the hollow men. The other voice is connected with God. The hollow men are not connected. Whoever the voice is, he or she knows the Bible and is capable of quoting from it. The speaker, by contrast, can't do that. Okay, so this temporary voice is capable to tell us about the Bible. But our original speaker, who is the representative of the hollow man, he is not able to do that. When he tries, he ends up butchering the passage. ولما نحاول دمر لنا الفقرة. Thine is, he says, and then trails of thine is the. Something is blocking the speaker. This in turn seems to be the shadow that the speaker describes repeatedly in section 5. مش هو كان يحكي إنه ما بين الفكرة وما بين تطبيقها، ما بين الشعور وما بين التعبير عنه، ما بين التفكير في الفعل وفعله الصحيح في شادو. فيبدو انه هو بتكلم هاي الجمل اللي كان بحاول يعبر يقتبس فيها، زي ما بنيجي نقتبس من القرآن آية وما نكونش عارفين ايش فيها الآية ونصير ايش نهبل فيها. For thine is ما عرفش يكملها. Life is ومش عارف يكملها. For thine is the وهنا بيسكت. واسمعوا التسجيل مرة تانية كيف بيضلوا يتوقف. Okay, اللي كان بيقرأ في القصيدة. Okay, this is to reflect that something was preventing our speaker from saying the whole passage completely. Okay, what is that? Okay, so something is blocking the speaker. This in turn seems to be the shadow that the speaker describes repeatedly in section 5. يعني كمان السبيكر في الشادو هذا بيمنعه من الحديث، نفس الشادو هذا اللي كان بيمنع الهولومين اللي عندهم أي شعور أو أي تفكير أو أي تعبير إنهم يقوموا فيه بالفعل. The shadow is symbolic of anxiety, fear and death. The shadow is powerful. It intervenes in some of the basic forces necessary for the universe to work. Forces like desire and emotion. كان الشادو هذا الظل يمنعهم من التعبير عن الديزاير وعن الإيموشنز اللي عندهم and prevents them from functioning properly. To the speaker, the shadow seems unbeatable. He ends the poem imagining the word ending simply buttering out. Not with a bang, but a whimper. The shadow makes the word slowly run down, unable to sustain itself. يعني بسبب لأنه الظل هذا الشادو أو الخيال كان يخلي الناس مش قادرين يعملوا إشي، بفكروا لكن مش قادرين ينفذوا التفكير. فشوي شوي العالم قاعد بهدوء جدا قاعد بيتدمر وبينتهي. Okay? However, the allusion to the Bible earlier in the poem reminds the reader that from a religious point of view, God should, or at least could set it all right. Okay? The resources are there to restore the hollow men and the culture they represent to a full, healthy relationship with God. Okay? So if they want to come back to their humanity, they need healthy relationship with God. That they can't regain this relationship suggests that such intimacy with God is permanently lost. So if they get it back, or if they got it back, they would become human again. But that connection is lost. At least in the word of this poem, though the speaker longs nostalgically for a lost religious faith, he has given up trying to get it back. Thanks for watching.